August 2021, this is the West London VR Virtual Racing August Review. We've had the two races, and the first one was a time trial, which made it very interesting. And just look at the placings here. Ned Bowen, clear leader from Nick Greenhalgh, Carlos Sella, James Melville and Christophe Quentin, very much in the wings there. But we put this time trial in for the first time. And we thought we might shake it up. Looking at the team classification, Razio Racing clear leaders there, Nick Greenhalgh's team. From Transatlantic Raiders, Ned Bowen's team. So very close at the top. Thanks very much to ZMS and the Cycling News guys for putting together the footage here. This is the route. It's the Waltham St Lawrence time trial course. It's actually 2 laps, roughly a 10-mile time trial, as is popular in the UK. And you can see the terrain is fairly flat from that, as much as you can tell from that picture, but believe me, it's a fairly benign flat course.
Pretty much a standard 10-mile TT, very popular course length here in the UK, and our riders will be going off one at a time at 5-second intervals, and we'll be trying to hunt each other down. Don't think anyone's going to get lapped today, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's some very fast times.
So, off we go. That's me going off first, and that's just because I got onto the line first. The way we set this up, we put 5-second intervals between the riders starting. Bear in mind that you might have 30 seconds or a minute in an actual time trial, and that's to avoid riders getting close together and drafting. But of course, with RGT, we have the option to switch to drafting off. This means that even if you do catch the next rider, there's no draft benefit. And consequently, we could do 5-second gaps, which we believe made it quite interesting because you can see the riders getting quite close and you get little individual tussles with no draft benefit. So this made for a much more interesting race. It also meant that people on the start line waiting to start less, and it also meant the finish was effectively quicker because there wasn't a long time between starters and finishers. So we were quite pleased with this, and it also was designed to see if this would make a difference to the standings, because neither in Series 1 nor Series 2 did we have any time trials. This was the first one. RGT in the meantime had come up with a formula to make time trials work on RGT with no drafting, and you could choose your distance or time between riders starting. And so it came into Series 3 with this idea of shaking up the standings a little bit and seeing if the race of truth would make a difference. We shall see later, and we shall bring you more commentary from Mike Lister and Riley Harvey towards the end. Here we can see the excellent coverage from ZMS, and you can see there just giving you details of each rider's output, wattage, heart rate, if they've got a heart monitor, and so on and so forth. You can see in the bottom there, and Kevin Unsworth there, one of our regular riders, just behind him, Wouter Claes from Belgium. Wouter put in a stern shift there, and will he catch Kevin? The halfway marker there, the yellow, was halfway around the lap, so you had to actually pass that twice because remember it was 2 laps. And there was one other major controversy, shall we say, in that due to a bug in the programme, it showed the countdown of time on your screen inaccurately by about 500 metres. So you got down to 0 metres to go and you didn't reach the finishing line. There was 500 metres to go. And I think it says a lot about RGT and the community in that the first riders over put up on the message board on screen that there was a problem and there was 500 metres extra. So anybody further back got the advantage of realising what was about to happen, and I think that was very, very sporting of everybody. And the other admirable thing was that straight after this race, RGT asked me a few questions, I gave them some details, and within no time at all they'd actually sorted out the problem. So it will never actually happen again, we're told, and this is fantastic, and well done RGT, and what a fantastic bunch of sportsmen those guys at the front were. We see one unfortunate rider stuck at the front. This is usually a technical, some sort of dropout, usually due to the IT system. That's Francois Eicher and Mike Lister duel it out there. Francois just taking the edge there, and he's quite a rider, is our Belgian star. So is Mike Lister actually. And Mike Lister manages to commentate while he's doing it, which is amazing. And we shall be hearing Mike's opinions and commentary and a bit of panting as he crosses the line, I suspect, a little bit later on. So we were very pleased with this event, and we are going to put another time trial into Series 4, and we are going to use this same course. We thought it was ideal. The 2 laps were perfect. It's fairly benign and flat, and the 5-second intervals made for a very interesting and entertaining race. We recommend you watch this on the ZMS or the Cycling News streams. They're on Twitch, Facebook and YouTube. So Johan Olofsson here, and we can see that he's actually catching ahead of them. Now this could be a big duel, and these are 2 top riders. If Johan can do well here, he's going to put him in a very strong position in the series. Johan, we have to say, is one of the founding fathers of all this, because although we already had the series running and Johan was a participant, it was Johan who asked me if I'd be interested in running a team competition. So, Johan is part of the community here. So here we go. And Kayla just ahead of him. But remember, this is a time trial. So it's not the position you cross the line, it's the time in which you've taken. And everybody's got a different starting time. As we look at a few other people, including myself. Nick Greenhalgh, who actually lives in West London. Stefan Kruger from the Sands team, South African. Now these are all star riders that are regularly in these events, and it'll be very, very interesting given that we have a lot of sprint finishes and so on and so forth. I mean, we do put in some climbs into some and flat ones others, but we generally, even with the climbs, it does sift it out and we end up with a sprint finish. And this is the first time we haven't done it, so it's going to be very interesting whether some of these star riders finish. I'm going to leave you to hear the finishing times as they come in the hot seat from the ZMS team of Mike and Riley.
It's gone past Kruger, and we've just got the results coming up there. And Johan Olofsson has pulled out of the back there to go past Casper Hederdam and take the hot seat. A clear 15 seconds faster than Hederdam. Just with Gary Twist live in screen there. You can hear that Mike's approaching the finish line there. I can tell from the noises that he's just gone over the line. We might not hear from him for a few seconds.
You might hear some grunting. Oh.
With Wilson here, 36.9 kilometers per hour. Just doing a little bit of quick maths. I think that Johan Olofsson was doing an average speed there of 43.4 kilometers per hour, which is pretty tidy racing. Nick Greenhalgh come through in 3rd place currently. Johan Olofsson still in the hot seat.
But Nick has taken Casper there by 6 seconds. He had a really strong ride, did Nick? He came past me on lap 1 and I didn't see him again. And that's why 40 seconds ahead of me there in the standings.
Mark Robots and Mike Shout there.
Oh yeah, where is he?
He's coming in 12th currently.
Oh. I beat my prediction, I'll take that.
I think I gave Nick Greenhouse the shout there for the win. So he's come in third. He's on the podium. I think that's better than your rider did.
Possibly. I don't know. I'm not very good at maths. You seem to be the one who's good at quick maths.
Well, he did pick Mark.
Yeah, Mark Rowbottom. I saw lots of comments on the Olympic TT from some of the riders and some of the people watching it saying, if you're not hurting, you're not going hard enough. Or just a balance. If it feels easy, it is. If it feels hard, you're going to blow up. It's finding that sweet spot in between.
Yeah, very difficult race in the TT. And just by with Gary Twist now. He's coming in with his speed at the moment, 36 kilometers per hour.
So I did get my numbers slightly the wrong way around. I was a bit excited, I think. I was a bit stronger on the first half than I was on the second half. Was not hanging on. I wasn't dying completely, but yeah, second lap was tough. So I think I averaged around about 335 watts for the whole race there. But I was a bit quicker on the first lap compared to the second lap. There's folks there again in the comments. If the TT doesn't hurt like hell in the end, you've gone too easy. Likewise, if you can still sprint to the line, you've gone too easy. So I think I managed to get up to 450 watts as I approached the line. So not close to my normal sprint. So hopefully that meant that I left enough out on the course.
Yeah, there's seems like there's too many ways to go too easy in a TT. I'm always blown by the end, blown by the middle, and then hanging on. So. There's a fair few new names for me.
Yeah. Who's spotted? Who's new?
Well, there's the rider we're currently looking at, which is Hochberg, I think.
Yeah, American rider is that.
Yeah.
That's why they got the American flag there. Yeah, they seem new. Eagle Cops on the YouTube stream just saying good luck to everybody. Wish he could be riding. Not sure where he is, but he's a very strong rider. So I'm sure if he was riding, he would have knocked me down the place. But yeah, it'd be good to see Igor back out on the virtual road soon.
Yeah, he's a fantastic rider, Igor. I see a lot more of his back wheel than he sees of mine.
When he's lapping you, of course.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's a several-time amateur world champion, is Igor. It just shows the quality of some of the riders, that we're racing against week in, week out, being a virtual platform, riders from all over the world. You just don't quite know who you're up against, do you? But yeah, there's some real talents on here. And Igor is certainly one of those riders, but it does make you lift your game when you're racing them. So I certainly don't resent having to race him because I know he helps me take myself up another level.
See, hearing this information from you makes me feel a little bit better about getting dropped by him every time. Just a quick word there. It's the rider that we were talking about before is Emily Hochberg. I don't know whether they're intentionally riding as a male avatar, but if you go into the, I know that some ladies would rather ride as a male avatar to avoid any unwanted communication, shall we say. But if you do go into the equipment, you can choose your avatar in RGT, and there's a few different male and female avatars to go through, as well as the umpteen different kits that you can choose, and a wide selection of bikes. It is all aesthetic for the bikes and the kit, but it makes your your rider individual to you, and also if you're part of a team, you can all choose the same team kit, and it does help quite a bit when you're in the heat of a battle, when you're racing hard, to see if it's a friendly wheel up in front of you and one that you should be letting go or perhaps helping to make a break, or whether it's somebody that you need to chase down. It can help having that kit.
So I know Eagle's not in the race tonight, but he was, I don't know if he still is, but in 2016 he set the Slovenian hour record of 47.49 kilometers in 1 hour. So yeah, tonight he certainly would have given everyone an absolute feasting, I'd have thought. In international language, he would have beaten us all by quite a margin. But let's have a look at who we did have in the race tonight. Still got Lewis Ridge here. Great to see him still coming around. He's got about a kilometre to go. So yeah, let's whilst we're watching Lewis come round, let's round out the top 10. So Mike Lister, top 10. I should be doing better at TTs. I need to work on that, but happy with that. Then Marcus Garwood, good performance by him in 9th. Matthias Bergqvist in 8th. Christoph Contant of the Pedal team in 7th. Was in 6th place. And into the top 5, very strong ride there by Francois Eicher. We discussed him a little bit in the live stream there, the Belgian rider. Casper Heiderdam, 15 seconds off the winning time and 5 seconds off of the leaderboard. And then Nick Greenhill, Riley's pick for the night, in 3rd place, taking the bronze medal. Jakob Skoskar, look at that, incredibly close, 2.27 seconds off the top step. So Jakob taking our silver medal, and Johan Olofs of the South Africa New Zealand team, 28 seconds, the only rider to go under 22 seconds, 4.5 watts per kilo. We saw him on the live stream. We saw him averaging roundabout, it was about 400 watts, I think we saw, didn't we, Riley, when we were following him? Very strong effort there, and overtaking them in the closing kilometre. But pretty close in the end between those top 2. Some slightly big gaps to go down. And this will be glad to be finished, and some of them possibly setting some 20-minute PBs. So we might see some FTP boosts this evening. We'll have to look at the chat later on. People are always commenting on their Strava feeds and in the Discord channel. So please join us on those. We have got the link in our YouTube description. So that's the last ride around. I'm going to hand over to Riley, as always, for a final summing up. I thought you did a great job describing the action tonight, Riley. I was listening in whilst I was keeping my head down, so thanks for keeping us all entertained whilst I was suffering this evening. So your final thoughts then. I'll catch you all next time. Cheers, everyone.
Well, that had exactly the desired effect. And Nick Greenhalgh, by means of coming 3rd with Ned Bowen down in 20th, has really closed that gap at the top. It's just 11 points now, and Carlos Sella is still within reach, and you wouldn't write off Christophe Contant. Remember here that if you don't turn up at an event, you risk losing something like 80-90 points on your rivals. And even James Melville's in there with the shout. So the top 5 could all win this. And of course, remember Tecanicals. This is V-Racing. If your internet connection bleeps or your equipment falters, you could be way back behind. So this is really getting exciting as we enter the latter stages of Series 3. And Ned Bowen's comfortable lead very much ebbing away there as a result of that time trial. Of course, we're back to normal racing next time. So can Ned consolidate his position, or will Nick be on the verge of catching him? This is going to go all the way to race 13 in Series 3. It couldn't have been lined up better, and as I've said earlier, we are going to put the time trial back in Series 4 using the same circuit. We think it works well. 5-second starts mean that it's competitive, no drafting. This is going to be a feature of future West London VR races going forward. So, both Nick and Ned have got an interest in the team competition too. And you remember me saying that Johan Olofsson was the man who came to me and said, why don't you do a team competition? He's part of Team Sands in third there. They're not totally out of it, but I think it's now between Transatlantic Raiders and Racio Racing. Now, Racio Racing are a strong team of multiple riders. Transatlantic Raiders, and you can have 4 in your team, of which the top 2 places count. Transatlantic Raiders rely on just 2 riders. That's Mike Lister and Ned Bowen. Now, of course, Mike and Ned are very strong riders and they score a lot of points. But it does mean that if one of them has some sort of malfunction, mechanical, then there isn't a third rider to mop up the points, which Racio Racing, of course, will always have because they generally field 4 riders. But it is nevertheless close enough that I think good performance from Transatlantic Raiders in any race could close that gap. And I know that riders themselves are getting quite excited about this run-in. I think those are probably the only 2 teams that can win it now. Unfortunately for Johan, I think they're a little bit adrift there, but it would have been nice for Sands to do better. It stands for South Africa, New Zealand, especially as it was Johan's idea to have a team competition, for which we thank him. And a special mention to Glasgow United, James Melville's team.
You got your eyes on anyone, Riley? Who you picking for this evening? Tough field to pick from.
Well, it's one of the biggest sign-ups that we've seen so far this season. We've got looking like over 75 riders that are turning up. They've left it till the latter end of the series to start joining in en masse. But with sprints, it's hard to miss out Ned Bowen. Nick Greenhalgh has been riding well, and he's generally got quite a few of his teammates in the mix to give him assistance. So yeah, I think it might come down to be between one of those 2.
Well, here's the course then. Once again out in West London, you can see there's a few tight turns there, a couple of sharp corners that riders will just need to keep an eye out for, make sure they're positioned well. And you can see that final, there's a right-hander if you're on the course, just towards the bottom of the screen. Just after that, that's where we've got a little bit of a climb within the last 1.5 kilometres. It rises at 4% for about 500 metres. So that might just give someone a bit of an incentive, a bit of an opportunity to push on and break away towards that finish line, which is just around the bend as well. So you're going to have to be tactical towards the finish. We have got the live poll in the YouTube chat. We picked out 4 riders, and you can vote who you think tonight's winner is going to be. And I caught up with Ned actually just before, a couple of minutes ago, and he said he's not ridden with the new physics yet, Riley. So he's not sure how that's going to play on a course like this. So he's obviously picked him out as a favourite. He's playing down his chances at the minute. So already people getting the excuses in. Right, 30 seconds from the start. I'm going to hand over to you whilst I just get into my race pace mind.
Get into the zone, Mike. Get yourself underway there. Yeah, personally speaking, the physics, there is a difference to the physics, but I didn't find it dramatic. I know a few of the other riders have got different opinions on that matter. Yeah, it's a little bit more difficult to race. It's a little bit harder to get into the draft and to benefit from it. But in general, I think most of the racers, most of the riders won't notice a great deal of difference.
I think we've got a interview with Dave Morrison, the organiser, as well, haven't we, Ryder? You interviewed Jeff Rooney, which is on the Recycling News YouTube page, but you've been also speaking to Dave Morrison, I think, and we can cover that just now.
Massive thanks from West London VR to everybody who's raced with us, RGT for the support, what a community, absolutely fantastic. I knew from the outset, the moment I saw Magic Roads, this was the place to be. The racing was realistic on RGT, it had to be the place to put on the races. And we started locally with local riders, so we plotted routes locally. And it was a fantastic opportunity to build routes that you wanted. So if you wanted a hilly one this week, you could put hills in. If you wanted a flat one, you could put it flat. And now we can do time trials as well. RGT is just phenomenal. It's grown. It's become international. And not only that, I mean, some of the guys who supported us along the way, Johan Owelsi, Jonathan Crane, Mike Lister, James Vickers, Tom Gakes, all the guys at Southborough, we love you. There's just loads of you, and I've probably missed somebody off, and I'm probably going to offend somebody, but if I did miss you off, I still love you. It's fantastic. Thank you very much, everybody. West London VR has been an incredible journey, and we've absolutely loved being with RGT. So stick with RGT, everybody. It's the place to be. Yep, it's where fast is a blast.
Doug Hart going through and off the front. Igor Kops just sitting in his wheel, enjoying the draft. Got Bergfist behind him. Linden gets Zwifties in there as well. Not seeing King Smile on for a little while. Wayne Schnitzling. My shout for the win. And Nick Greenhouse is floating around in the top 10. Hart's gone through a little break there. It's only 10 metres, but it's enough to break the drafting from the following riders. 450 metres, Alex Plages following tightly behind him. Nick Greenhouse behind him, and on his wheel hotly is Igor Kops. And we've got more Rassia racers. Bergfist is in there. We've got Krajowski. Greenhouse has gone early. Got 220 metres. Igor Kops is on him. He's all over him like a rash. Don't think Greenhouse is going to make the stick. Igor Kops is enjoying the draft behind him there, and he's gone. Got Bergfist and Get Swifty coming up fast and just going through there. I think that's Melville has come through to take the win. Perfectly timed. Uta Clays came through in 4th and Ned Bowen 6th on that occasion. Mike Lister back down the list there in 14th. And drop back there to the next group on the road. 34th place in all the 33 riders came in very close to each other there. Now down to 890 metres to go. It's going to hot up for these riders. But Dick's going through in the front there with Ollie. Wilson, Buckley, Poniatowski in this group. He was in the lead group for a while till it hotted up on one of these hills. Dix is just putting in a bit of effort here. Buckley is marking him, enjoying the slipstream. Wilson sitting on his wheel, and this looks like Dix is putting in putting in full effort here. He's gone for it. He's gone for it with 400 metres still to go. Will he be able to sustain this effort all the way to the finish line? Got Ollie following through there. It's only 290 metres left to the line now. And it's hotting up between the group behind. They're all pushing as one force now, so I think they're going to reel Dix in before he gets to the line there. Poniatowski putting in an effort, and Poniatowski is through off the front. 86 metres left to go. Buckley's coming in fast, and I think Poniatowski's going to keep it to the line. I think it's Poniatowski and then Buckley, and then Ollie in those races. Powers there up at 700 watts. Back in 49th place here. Faye's gone early. With 1.3 kilometres left to go. The results up here. And we can see that Melville came in first there. Fantastic average watts per kilogram of 4.06 watts per kilogram there. Followed by Igor Kops, Get Zwifty. Ned Bowen in fourth position. Guillaume Toffoli, Matthias Bergqvist, Nick Greenhalgh, my shout for the win. Let me down there, he's back in 7th position. Woods Clayson 8th, Doug Hart, and then Alex Blazier. Again, the Ratio Racing guys there. Good positioning. Not on the podium this week, but not far off it. Just back to the racing.
Yeah,
We've
we
got
ended up
Nyland here.
Just as we came round the last 500 metres, there was a bit of a push on the front, and with that turn a few people got hung. They had the long way round, and it did end up with a little bit of a gap between the front 11 or 12. You can see that in the results there. 2 seconds, you know, 1 second difference between 11th and 12th, and that was where we had a bit of a gap on the road, and it was difficult for those riders in that second group to try and close it back because we'd lost that draft. So it was a good move from the people at the front. And it's Dave Morrison then just coming up to the line, grabbing some points for his West London team. I know they've got a individual West London club competition as well. So we'll be pleased to get across the line ahead of Thacker a little bit further back than we saw earlier.
That's the thing that makes the racing about RGT a little bit more interesting than some of the other platforms, is the action that is caused within these corners, the braking, the different lines that you get taken into, knowing when to accelerate, whether it's on the way into the corner or the way out of it, judging your position on the group that it's going through the corner, whether you need to ease off slightly to get your avatar to move across. It's all things that come with experience, but I think there's a few of the riders that just find it a little bit tricky with the change in the physics, something that they'd learned and was easy to them, having to just relearn slightly and just adjust to the new physics. Some are doing it quicker than others. But it's like you say, Mike, it's interesting to see that there was a gap, a group going through so tightly up until that last corner, and then it just creates a gap of 1.2 seconds.
Yeah, I think partly that's just because the riders are accelerating towards the line, it's spreading it out, and you get that stretching out of the pack effect because everyone's pushing hard. You know, if we were all riding comfortably, then we all spread out across the road as well. So I think that does represent what would happen in real life as you're sprinting towards the line. You do end up with these sort of slightly smaller gaps as people respond at different times, and as they put the watts down, they accelerate quicker and pull away. So that's what we saw today, and those riders who had done their homework had popped in and seen that corner and they'd attacked before then, and that gave them the advantage.
So Ned Bowen stealing 3 points on Nick Greenhalgh there, just extending his lead by 3 points, but that's not a lot, and it's still wide open. The sad news of this session was that both Carlos Sella and Johan Olofsson both had mechanicals, both finishing way back in the pack, which has diminished their chances of winning the series, and we do commiserate. But like real life racing with punctures and mechanicals, on virtual racing we have mechanicals, and it's part and parcel of the game. But commiserations to Carlos and Johan on a very disappointing evening for both of those. So what does that do to the team competition? Well, it's still close, and it's still really between Razia Racing and Transatlantic Raiders, but don't discount Glasgow United moving up there, because don't forget that Johan's misfortune let Glasgow United slip into third place on the podium. So, plenty to race for. Make sure you're there September the 1st. Sign on for the next instalment. Forget the welter, this is a belter.